Daily Ascent. I'm Molly Carmel, and this is the podcast I always wish existed. A bite-sized, on-the-ground, spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to help make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So today I want to talk about something a client said to me that made me think about how our internal state really colors everything that we experience, and why the same exact thing can feel completely different depending on where we are inside. So I did a podcast at the beginning of January about my godson, Levi. He is 3 years old. He is the cutest 3 years old. And when I was with him over New Year's, he was just like Mr. Question. He was just like Mr. Inquisitive. He wanted to know what everything was, and he wanted to smell everything. It was just like the most cutest, delicious thing I've ever experienced in my life. He wanted to touch everything. Can I smell that? What does it smell like? He was just full of wonder. It was beautiful. And people loved that episode. I got so many messages about it. But I was in session with one of my coaching clients the other day, and she had just listened to the episode, and she had such an interesting reaction to it. She was like, I know that you loved spending that time with him and you loved all of the questions that he was asking, but I would have found that so annoying, like so annoying. A 3-year-old wanting to smell like everything in my bag, like I would have been so irritated. And she wasn't being mean about it at all. She was just like genuinely amazed that I found this experience so heartwarming. She was like, how are you not annoyed by that? And it made me think about something that I've noticed over the years. And let me tell you something about myself too. No worries, no worries. But when our internal state is calm and when we're well resourced, like when we're in a really good place, it's quite easy to see the miracles in life, right? A 3-year-old's curiosity becomes this beautiful gift. Birds chirping outside your window are like the Snow White soundtrack to your morning. But when we're not as well resourced, right? Like when our internal state is not so calm, when we're depleted or overwhelmed, running on empty, like everything can feel, for lack of a better word, annoying. Even a chirping bird, even a cute little 3-year-old who wants to smell everything in your bag and everything in your dog's bag, right? I mean, it's the same birds and it's the same kid, but it's a completely different experience. And that's what was happening with Levi. To me, in my state, his curiosity was like beyond delightful. It was a gift. It reminded me of everything I want to bring into this new year. But to my client in her state, it would have been like overwhelming, irritating, like suffocating, too much. Again, that's not a judgment. This is just like a perspective. I don't think this is about right or wrong. It's just about recognizing that our internal state really colors everything that we see. And that brings me to our pocket sage today. You know, we have been relying on this one a lot this week, and I don't care. It's just so good. The Courage to Change Daily Reader, the Al-Anon Daily Reader. And the entry is from January 17th. It's such a good one. My attitudes color my perception of the world. If I am angry, resentful, everything looks bleak. If I'm filled with gratitude, the same circumstances can appear quite differently. Today, I have a choice about how I see my world. I'm going to read that in the back. I'm going to read it even slower. My attitudes color my perception of the world. If I am angry or resentful, everything looks bleak. If I am filled with gratitude, the same circumstances can appear quite differently. Today, I have a choice about how I see my world. And I don't know what lands for me in this reading, which always lands for me, especially when I come out of an unresourced place, is that we have a choice. Not about what happens to us, right? But about the lens that we see it through. And so today's word of the day is lens. It's lens. I know we're using a noun for the word of the day. We're just trying new things here on the show. Because our lens is the filter through which we experience everything. It's not the thing itself, it's how we see the thing. Two people can witness the exact same event and have completely opposite experiences. One person hears birds and feels a sense of peace and calm and hope. And another person hears birds and feels rage and wants those birds to shut the F up, right? One person watches a 3-year-old smell everything in her dog's bag and thinks this is the most precious thing I've ever seen in my life. Please don't let this moment end. And another person thinks, get me out of here. Get me out of here. It's not the birds and it's not the 3-year-old. It's the lens. And here, what's both humbling and empowering is that the lens is ours. We're the one wearing it, which means we're the ones who can change it. I mean, don't get me wrong, not overnight and not by pretending. Let's not get spiritual bypassy. That's not the way we do it on Daily Ascent. But the way we can shift is by doing the work to shift our internal state, by taking care of ourselves, by going where the love is, by tending to our sadness before it becomes despair. And all this work we do on ourselves, all this lens work, it changes the filter so that the same life can look completely different. And so I've said this quote before on the show, but I love it so much. You know, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Good old Wayne Dyer. When we're depleted, overwhelmed, running on empty, everything is annoying. The birds are too loud, the 3-year-old is too much, the traffic is unbearable, the world is exhausting. But when we're resourced, connected, tended to, the same world can be very beautiful, right? The birds can be singing, the 3-year-old is a calm in the storm, and the traffic can just be traffic. That's not toxic positivity, because I'm never saying that you should force yourself to see everything as wonderful when you're struggling. And I'm never saying you should fake what is happening in the world. That is not real and that is not useful, right? The world is tricky right now. There's real stuff happening, real pain, real injustice. And there's real reason to feel despair sometimes. But here's what I want you to hear. If you're annoyed by a 3-year-old asking you to smell everything, or if you think the birds are chirping too loud, that's not about the state of the world. That's information about your internal state. That's data about what's happening inside of you. That's your system telling you that something needs an attention. That's your system telling you something needs attention. That's a flag on the field, right? So don't use that as evidence that everything is terrible. Don't pile it up on top of real stuff and make it all one big hopeless heap. Don't let a foggy lens convince you there's no beauty left anywhere. We don't have time for that right now. Because the truth is there's real hard stuff in the world and there are beautiful small miracles. Always. Both are true, right? Both are true. But you can't hold both of them when your lenses are foggy. When you're depleted, everything just looks like more evidence that life is hard. So if you're finding yourself annoyed by things that aren't actually problems, the birds, the kid, the small stuff, maybe you just need a nap. Maybe you just need a break. Maybe you need a breath. Maybe you need a snack, right? Maybe you need some time with people who love you, but not a 3-year-old, you know? Whatever it is that clears the fog for you. The lens is yours. And even in a world that can genuinely feel hard, we can still choose to clean our lenses so we can see what's beautiful alongside what's broken. And so here's your reflective question for the day. What's something in your life that feels annoying or overwhelming right now? And is it possible that the issue isn't the thing itself, but the lens you're seeing it through? That's a one to think on. I'm right here with you, Ascenders. I too am learning that sometimes it's not the birds, it's us. We rise together. Until next time.